Hello again, it's Scott Cook with Freedom Unleashed. This is the sixth session in a seven-session series of training that I'm offering. Today we're going to cover getting people started in your network marketing business the right way. Let's go over a quick review of our past sessions. We went over finding prospects, inviting prospects, presenting to prospects, and follow-up as closing this prospect and getting people started is tonight's subject. So we're going to cover how to get a new rep started in your business. So you've created your list, you've invited people on your list, you've presented to people on your list, you've followed up with the people, and you've closed them and enrolled your first rep. Yikes! Now what? Having a simple, defined process for getting new people started is the key to creating duplication. People spend so much time and effort trying to recruit people, and then once they sign them up, they never get that new person started the right way. You need to think of this process as your new person's orientation to the business. When done properly, this will make the new person feel more confident and excited about their new business. So, there are 5 fundamental components that you need to make sure are included in the strategy review session. Number 1, validate. Validate your new person's decision to join the business. Have a conversation. Now, this conversation should be no longer than just a couple of minutes. There's always a couple things that I always try to touch on when first sitting down with somebody. First, I always congratulate them on making a decision to get started. See, just by doing that, it's a very helpful way of protecting against buyer's remorse. When they sign into the business and pay money up front for the starter kit, then they second guess themselves, questioning themselves. Man, is this the right thing to do? That's buyer's remorse. The second thing I always want to say to them is, I am proud of you for taking charge of your life. And this, once again, is validating that decision. And I want to let you know, Sue, that from now on, things are going to be different for you. So that's how that validation conversation comes across. It helps to inspire them and get them a bit more enthusiastic about starting this process. Set expectations. Now, this is an area where a lot of people drop the ball. And here's the problem. And by the way, I'm guilty of this too. People come into a business with mismanaged expectations. They don't take responsibility for their own success, and they don't really understand what it is going to take to be successful. See, the person who brought them in didn't prepare them for all the bad things that are going to happen. So what happens is this. You wind up creating these dependent reps. So let's get this right. Here's what setting the correct expectations should sound like with your new rep. Sue, I just want to let you know that success or failure in this business is up to you. Now, that's a very important thing to say because I want Sue to know from day one that it's not my job to make her successful. It's her job to make her successful. I'm just here to facilitate that process and make it easier by guiding her along the way. You can see that's a really important expectation to set. The second thing I'm going to tell Sue is that my job is to help you become independent of me as soon as possible. Now, this is also a big one because here is what happens so many times. We create these dependent reps because we do everything for them. We don't put them into a position of growth and leadership where we're asking them to do things and maybe get out of their comfort zone. It absolutely drives me crazy when I'm working with someone on another team or in another company and they don't even know how to do something as simple as check their back office for a report or a commission statement or where to access their company training. And the reason why they don't know how to do that is because the person that brought them into the business didn't understand this part of it and how to do it well enough to train someone. So instead of saying, let me show you how to do it, they just always did it for them. So they actually disempowered that person instead of empowering them and helping them to grow and learn. So by telling Sue that it's my job to get you out and on your own as soon as possible, I also will convey, look, it's not that I'm going to abandon you, but I want you to understand that your goal is to become independent. And that, my friends, is a very important expectation to set. Now, the third expectation is, well, I'm going to let Sue know that there are going to be ups and downs. And I always want to ask them, Sue, when you're in one of those down times, when you're having that adversity, how do you want me to handle that? Do you want me to leave you alone and let you work through it? Or do you want me to contact you and lift you up and maybe give you a kick in the seat of the pants? Sue, here's how I'm going to know that it's a downtime for you. You're not going to be calling me anymore. You won't be showing up at meetings. You won't be on the company and team calls. See, what I'm looking for here is permission to give Sue a little kick in the butt when she hits adversity in those down times, to hold her accountable when she needs it. Keep in mind, this little setting of expectations, this conversation may very well be the most important conversation that you will ever have with this rep. So you need to get it right. And at this point, step 2, you should be no more than 5 to 7 minutes into the call. Next is ensure you have and share with them some sort of a getting started checklist. Most companies have their own getting started packet and checklist. Whatever your company or team has, use it. You want to avoid a scenario where you try to create your own stuff that's not in line with what's being taught. So just follow whatever is already laid out in your particular packet. But there are a couple of things you want to ensure get emphasized in this packet and document. First, you want to make sure that there's a big emphasis on helping someone determine what their why is. This is their motivation, their deepest why. If you can find out what will impact their life, you can always use it to kick them in the butt later by referencing their why. The other thing that you have to accomplish is to teach them how to invite, how to ask someone to take a look at the products or opportunity. Next, ensure that you have a fast start game plan. And all this really is for you to give them a few things to do in their first couple of weeks in the business, which will generate a check for them. It's a simple series of steps, what they need to do in order to generate a customer, recruit a person, and make a check. Roll up your sleeves and help your new person get that small win, that first customer. A $30 commission check can really make a difference. It can really motivate someone. Next, give your new person specific assignments. When we talk in the business about multiple exposures and taking people through multiple exposures, this exposure process for prospects, that doesn't stop when you've signed someone up. You still need to think of your new rep as a prospect because they might be in the business, but the business is not in them yet. And that only comes from this continued exposure process. So maybe a specific assignment is attend the weekly team or company call, or come to a Saturday training or the monthly training. See, you're giving them an assignment. Maybe it's get on the Sunday evening training call or a webinar. It could be adding to their contact list. Sue, I want to see 50 more people on your list within 36 hours. Or working on a good why statement. It could be to work on their story and practice it. Then hold them accountable. Believe it or not, people respond very well to assignments. They won't resent it. They're actually looking for us to give them direction. Starting your new teammate is the most critical time for you. It's the most critical time for you. It's the most critical time for many networkers because many networkers are lacking in this skill. They put all of their focus and skill to learn on recruiting, and they forget that they'll need to support others after they become successful recruiters. See, as professionals, we have a huge responsibility to set our new people up for success from the beginning. They're the most fired up they'll ever get, unless or until you get them to your company event. But they're also at the most sensitive time. They are excited, but they're also stressed out because they have no clue what to do next. They've not totally experienced the culture and community of your network marketing company and team, so they are the most subject to the opinions of others, the dream stealers. You must concentrate on getting them started professionally and properly during this critical time. The greatest attrition, the greatest fallout rate in our business comes in the first 60 to 90 days. That is when people are most likely to quit. So that is when you need to make it your number one priority to be there and assist the new rep in coming up to speed and getting a return on their investment. You need to help them make their first few paychecks, to get them some successes under their belt. To do this, you have to lead. You need to give them things to do, give them homework and assignments to keep them on task. So let's explore how to get these folks started on a track to success. One of the first things I like to do is find out their expectations. And I also like to find out what it is that they actually want. This is very, very important because if you don't understand either one of those, kind of like a relationship, it's set up for doom from the very start. If you don't know what your significant other wants or what their expectations are, and you just move forward and hope for the best, well, you're probably going to have some stumbling blocks along the way. Make sure you find out what their expectations are. If you don't know this, this is a big problem. Are they expecting to make $10,000 their first month and they're only willing to put in 30 minutes a week? Well, then that's a major problem. If they don't hit that, because they won't, then they're going to be disappointed and they're going to come to you and maybe even blame you for something you didn't even know. What is it that they want? Now, a lot of times if you're an alpha leader or if you're someone that's super goal oriented, then you think everyone is just like you. You may think that everyone wants to reach the top rank, that everyone wants to be up on stage, and everyone wants to build out a humongous team, make lots of money, have the fast cars, etc., etc., etc. The fact is, that's just not the case. Many people, if you talk about, oh man, you're going to get up on stage, we're going to go rock this thing out, you'll stress them out. They don't want to be on stage. So find out. Have a conversation. Do they want to build an empire? Do they want to become $1 million earner, or do they just want to be a customer? You need to know what they want, first of all. And then, second of all, you need to know if they're coachable. That's first and second. What do they want, and are they coachable? Then, if they're coachable and they want to become a top earner, a suggestion would be to get them to embrace the idea that this is a business, not a hobby. It's a business. And if they want business type income, they need to treat it like a business. It's too easy to get up at the crack of noon in your pajamas, check Facebook, and then go watch television or read the paper and say you were working. If they don't understand our lingo, then you need to tell them, treat it like a job. See, you need to point out to them that even on days that they don't feel like logging into the computer or going to their office, returning phone calls, checking emails, making phone calls, even if they don't show up, well, then they can't really be upset if they don't get a paycheck. It's a business, not a hobby. Once you establish the previous items, their expectations, and what they want, then you give them suggested courses of action. One of the major ones that you absolutely need to do, and I would attempt to do this regardless of what their goals are, whether they just want to be a customer or be a user, I would encourage them to come to the next company event. This is a big deal. Big decisions are made at big events. And I've seen lives change at large events. I've seen people that weren't really that fired up come to a big event and come out guns a-blazing. It came from the event, not from you. If you try to force that kind of pressure, like the amount of belief that's built at an event, it can come across as pushy. You want to be very careful with that. Here's an example of a multi-day tasking conversation or checklist. This you might have with your new rep. Get your new associates started. Get them using the products. Okay, here's a simple, typical conversation. Sue, I'm really excited to help you. What's going to get you started right off is you and I working together to get you fully trained. So are you ready to learn? And please note, I'm getting a mental yes here. So there's two main areas of training we're going to be going over. How to help you get results with the products, how to help you get results with the business. Now, let's talk about using the products. What if I was trying to help you with the product and I personally had never tried it? Sue, would you feel I was deceiving you? So while we're beginning your training, you'll want to get the products. Are you opposed to this, Sue? Now we want to get into how to really train. Have you decided exactly what you want to achieve with the business, Sue? Do you have a written plan of how to achieve it? Are you working that plan? Do you know all the parts that make up building your business? Do you have a lead source? A source of leads? Do you know how to get customers? Do you know how to get service customers? I'm sorry, do you know how to service customers? Do you know how to train an associate to get a new associate, Sue? Now here's key. Well, find out what they can't show or demonstrate to you. Whatever they can't show or demonstrate to you is the reason for their failure at this point. It's the reason they're not motivated. It's the reason they're not duplicating. And if they are duplicating, it's the only thing they are duplicating has been to formulate the reason they'll quit and continue to play that movie in their head. So see, all these questions, they can be asked for the life of the relationship with your rep. It's not just for new people. You can restart team members that have been stuck in a rut for years by going through this same process with them. And you know what? You want to build your team to retire. Understand what people can't do or can't train how to do, they will alter. When you teach to teach, then you can truly retire. The reason people don't do things, the reason they don't show up, they don't build, they quit, whatever, is they don't know what they are doing. Point this out tactfully to them. Show them that you can help them pinpoint where they need to shore up their skill set. So, how do these skills get lost? Well, first you have to have a successful method. And then you who developed this method begins to teach others, and they're well trained. Then they teach others. But if the link back to the original originator is broken, if at any time others are trained incompletely, they will have a part of the method they can't do or can't train others how to do. And when that happens, and it's human nature, they alter the method. The end result is an altered, ineffective method that isn't being duplicated on the team. You need to have this important conversation with them. They need to know how important it is to follow the system. Next, you teach your new business associate to get customers. How many? Well, as many as it takes until he or she can teach the person they bring in to get customers. Then teach them how to get reps, new team members. And then you watch him teach his person how to get customers. And you're going to want to get some kind of tool or tools into the hands of your new rep. Why? Because if you don't, they'll fail. They will succumb to outside influences and the dream stealers. Now, physical tools are best for this, and there is one I recommend right away. It's available at the website I'm showing there, rayhigdon.com/HBFS. It shares with them all the obstacles, all the landmines that they're going to encounter, and prepares them for a successful career in network marketing. At any rate, if you have your own tools, get them into your new reps' hands. What I use, I personally always give an audiobook copy of Eric Worre's book, GoPro, to my new team members. As soon as the rep is signed up, immediately get them on the phone and walk them through your company's website and their company web back office. Show them how to access the company training on that website. Get them totally familiar with that website. And then they're to generate a list of 21 people. Not the people that need the opportunity, just 21 people in your new rep circle of influence. Who do they know? Because they need 21 for a reason. For the next 7 days, you are going to show the rep how to invite a minimum of 3 people per day to come see a presentation or watch the online video tool that you have. Now, this is easily managed. Even if someone has 2 part-time jobs and they're working the business only part-time, they can invite 3 a day. This should be pretty easy for them to do if you coach them properly. I'll share the system that I use with my team now as an example of what you might do with your team. This is a new rep orientation and welcome. I personally use what I call a strategy review session. It's a document and a session to accomplish during a phone call and coaching session. And it has to happen within 48 hours of signing up for the business. So they get homework on the first call right after they sign up. And I explain everything to them. I tell them about the upcoming call and process on my first call with them. You might think of this call as a game plan interview. I assign the download of our team form and the filling out of the form. I assign a task for them to complete, both of those, and then call me to set an appointment for their strategy review session. I block out an hour's time for the new rep's initial orientation and strategy review session. Here's where you'll get them started out on the right foot and find out a lot about them. You'll just start to develop rapport and a relationship with them. Now, as I stated, they need to fill out a downloadable form from my team training website, which covers all startup activities and documents their why. And by the way, I'll be happy to make this document available to anyone who asks me for it, so that you can see the questions, see how I've constructed it, and see the logic behind it. I require that they have this filled out and have called me to set an appointment for their strategy review session within 48 hours of joining the business. Number one, that's a critical time period that I need to touch them again with. And number two, this is going to determine to me whether they're coachable or not and how much energy and time I'll expend with them. See, this 48-hour time frame is crucial time period, as it's when the dream stealers will creep back into their lives. You have to keep them motivated and on track during this time frame. So assuming they listen and they call you to set the appointment, go ahead and book their strategy review session and then get it on your calendar and get it on their calendar and explain to them how to do that. Be prepared to do the strategy review with them at the appropriate agreed upon time. See, you're already leading and you're teaching them to use their calendar. That's an important step because your calendar drives your business. If your calendar's not full, you're not in business. All right, the first question of the strategy review form and session is, have you done your initial training? If they haven't, stop. Make them complete it before this session. Do you understand the 7 steps and skills needed to be a professional in this business? Did you view the company presentation? That's important. It's how you can present the business to others. You need to see what they're going to see in a different light from when you saw it when I was prospecting you. Now, this next segment is crucial. It's about their pain, their needs, wants, and desires. What made you say yes to the business and had you thinking about how this business could do something for you in your life? What would that be? What had you say, I'm going to do that because? Are you familiar with our team Facebook pages, the training calls, the company calls, and have you plugged them into your calendar? Now I discuss the reps list, the new rep, the list that I've asked them to come up with on the strategy review worksheet. I asked them to come up with a list of 21 people. Now, my first question is, how do you know the first 21 people on your list? Here's where I'm verifying that they didn't just pencil whip this list. How do you know so-and-so? How long have you known them? Are they married? Do you know any more personal information on them? Then go over a quick role play to introduce them to how to invite and the process of inviting. Here are some additional questions. Again, this is kind of a mix mash. I'm just giving you all sorts of items and strategies that I've learned over the years, and they all work. I just have my own system. I've shared that with you, but here's some additional questions you might consider asking your prospect and your new not prospect, new rep early on in the process. Why did they join your network marketing business? As the person leading your new rep, you need to know how to help them best. Understanding why they are doing your business is absolutely key. One thing I like to do is add their name in my phone as a contact and then ask them permission to add their why underneath their name for future reference. As I work with this new rep, I can help remind them of why they started. What do they hope to gain now that they're part of the company? This question helps you understand how they see their role and yours. Some red flags you might hear at this point are, I wanted to be a part of a company where someone is there to hold my hand every step of the way. Or I was told that your team gives their new people customers and new reps and does a lot of the work for me. And believe it or not, some people actually do say that. But a good response from them would be, well, I plan to create $10,000 a month income and help a lot of people along the way. Or I wanted to contribute to a leadership team where there was room for growth. Next, what are their expectations? This fits along with the question above because if they expect someone else to do the work for them, you can help them manage these expectations. And understand that it's not your job to make them successful, it's theirs. A great saying is, I will help you build your business, but I won't do it for you. What are their goals? When they start telling you their goals, you can see how realistic they are. Sometimes new people have heard all the crazy income stories about network marketing and latch on to those, thinking what we do is easy or happens overnight. Whatever income goal they give you, help them understand with your comp plan exactly how they can do this. We've gone over this with 4 questions, 4 key questions in previous trainings to ask them. And those questions really helped you determine way up front if they were realistic. But if you miss that step, you can do it here. If they give you goals that are unrealistic, it's time to help them further with the next questions. So, in other words, we're taking them back to the 4 questions we covered in the previous sessions. And these will sound very familiar to you. Their goal is $10,000 a month. So, my question would be, are you currently making $10,000 a month in your job? And they answer no. So then I ask, how many hours a week do you think you can put into your new business? And they answer 5 to 10. So then I ask, how many hours a week do you work in your current job or business? And they say 40 or 50. And I say, how long are you willing to work this business to make $10,000 a month? And they say, well, maybe 6 months. All right, now this is where you either get defensive or you do it professionally. This is where you clarify professionally with this new person and help them see reality. Okay, so let me make sure I understand. You're currently not making $10,000 a month at your job, and you're working 40 to 50 hours a week. You'll be able to commit to maybe 5 to 10 hours a week in your new business, and you want to make $10,000 a month in 6 months. Is that what you're saying? And they say yes. And I say, it's absolutely possible to make $10,000 a month in this business. I work with many people doing that. But everyone's path is different because they start at different skill levels and credibility and connections that they can expose. So I have no idea how soon you could reach that income level yourself. Now you've handled it. The next question is, are you someone who is easily affected by what others think or by their opinion? The answer's no. Well, it's almost always no, but this does is it raises their awareness that people will possibly not go along with what they're doing. And they need to be prepared mentally to keep going even after that. If you have someone answer yes to this, it's time to help them with personal development and strengthening their why and their vision for their new business and their future. All right, let's wrap this up. Always keep in mind this cycle of duplication. You need to know it well because you need to teach it well. You'll be teaching this cycle for the rest of your networking career. It will never stop. So embrace this cycle and master the skill of communicating this cycle to every single new rep you sign on. It's the cycle of duplication. You start your business, you invite people to take a look, you introduce the business, you determine their interest, you gain a positive decision, and you get your new partners started. That's the cycle. And it goes on over and over and over again. If you learn to become a master coach, the sky is the limit. With these questions and strategies, your new rep has a much greater chance of being a long-term success in their new business. As a sponsor, you'll make your new people feel much more confident by approaching these initial sessions with the mindset of getting them off to a great start. Now, my personal team mantra is use, recommend, and invite. This simple mantra can easily be taught to others, and I suggest you do so for your team. Because in our business, if you're using the products, recommending the products, and inviting others to take a look at the products and opportunity, then you're doing it. You're doing the business. It really is that simple. So I'm just curious. Did you like all these questions? Do you think they can help you start a new rep more successfully on your team? I'm hopeful that you got a lot of value out of this session and that our next session is even going to be more valuable. Our next session is the last session in our training series of 7 sessions. In the next session, we'll be covering the subject of promoting events. So, go implement some or all of the suggestions in this video and watch your new reps shine. To your success.